I'm so grateful that today we have Dr. Joanne Frederick with us. Thank you for being with us. Dr. Frederick is a graduate of the Morgan State University, of which I am an alum as well, which is I'm very proud. Dr. Frederick is also a chaplain for the Upsilon Tau Omega chapter of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, where she provides spiritual guidance, inspiration, and meditation to almost 200 women. She is the creator and author of Copeology. I love the title. The anthology book that helps people use their spirituality to cope with life events. And finally, Dr. Frederick is an associate professor in the counseling programs at George Mason University. And Dr. Frederick, when you hear all of this and you are in a position where you are regularly giving counsel and encouragement to young people, especially in college settings and young adult settings, your book, Copeology, how do you pronounce it? I had it right. Copeology. I love the title, but then I just peeked at the subtitle, Exploring Coping Techniques. And I'm just curious, when you consider and you hear from these graduates and the others who are watching, what are some of the coping techniques that might help these young people as they go into their next chapter of their journey?
Thank you for that question. Well, first, the word copeology, if you look at it, the breakup of the word, it means cope, and an ology is the study of. So the thought is that if we study how to cope, no matter what comes our way, we'll be able to deal with it, right? And so one of the first things in order to cope is put God first, right? Things are gonna happen from first grade to fifth grade teacher that you're gonna be like, I don't understand, why me, why this happened, but you wanna come to God and thank Him first for even that opportunity of where you sit, where you are. That's one of the biggest coping techniques that comes up. The second one is whatever happens to you or you're experiencing, talk about it. Find someone that you trust, that cares about you, and talk. Even if it's embarrassing, or it feels small, or it's something so huge that someone told you not to tell anybody, but you need to talk about it to someone. So that's the second thing I would say. And the third thing is, all of us enjoy doing something. I think I heard you enjoy doing poetry, right? And I think you probably enjoy teaching people. But whatever you enjoy, continue doing that. It might be listening to music, it might be dancing, it might be singing, but keep in mind, what is it that brings you joy? And so those are the top three things I would say. But there's definitely a lot more based on the things that you may be going through, like anxiety, embarrassment, sadness, or what we call depression, and so forth.
Oh, this is beautiful. I'm so grateful for you, Dr. Frederick, because there was a day in time where a lot of churches would look down on mental health tips and resources. And in fact, I still have memories way back in my head of teachings and preachings that would say stuff like, you don't need no therapist, you just need Jesus. But I'm grateful that we've grown to a place where we recognize that sometimes Jesus shows up through a therapist to help us to get what we need. What are some things that you would say more churches need to or should consider doing so that we can continue to grow in our mental health related ministries?
Definitely, thank you for that question. So a word that I created and trademarked along with Copeology is a word called bibliopsychoeducation. And what it is taking psychoeducation, which is anything that has to do with mental health and how we care for ourselves, and combining it with the Bible and how the two of them can work together. And so when we look at two individuals, I look at the clergy and the clinician, right? Which is like, doc here and the clinician, myself, working together to bring the message together. And so that's one way that we can continue, sharing the mental health needs, and that it is okay, and that we don't have to be embarrassed to seek professional guidance within the church. Another thing that I'm doing is coming to many churches, especially Black churches, and having these conversations. In Carmody Hills Baptist Church, we opened a mental health clinic in the church. And the people who service are not necessarily part of the church. We have interns that are college students that wants to be counselors, psychologists, social workers that are working with people. Everything is private and confidential. So those are some of the things that we have to continue doing. And within the church, it's a partnership. And we reach more people in that way from wherever they are.
I love that. The idea of a church having its own counseling center, that would make life so much better for so many, I think. Because as somebody who has a therapist, I go to support groups, I've had therapists before, and maybe some of y'all have also had therapists before. I know that one of the toughest things that I experienced was just trying to find somebody. You know, so the need was clear. All these heavy emotions and all this stuff going on inside my head. Embarrassing moment again. What hair? I know heavy. But all of these embarrassing moments, all of this anger, sadness, all this kind of stuff, it was like, what do I do with all this? And I know I needed help, but I did not always know where to get it. So the idea of a church having a counseling center goes a long way. And it might even be, as y'all are headed off to school, and I just want to encourage you, because of you going to college and going away to school, I want to encourage you, and I think my bishop would co-sign this, to find a church home away from home. That you find a community of faith, people who can love on you, pray for you, continue to teach you and guide you in the word of the Lord. And maybe this mental health piece can be one of the things you look for in your next church home away from home until you get back here to Shiloh. And so any questions that any of you might have for Dr. Frederick, any comments or statements or thoughts about you walking into this next season of your life, things you're trying to figure out amongst yourselves, then you got your friends and everything they're going through, then you got all these pressures from like everywhere, and the pressure of social media that I did not have growing up. I did not have to worry about so much of the things that others have to worry about, that y'all have to worry about today. I didn't have to worry about that. And so I'm super sensitive to some of that. Any final thoughts before we finish? Final thoughts? Well, let me say I appreciate you, Dr. Frederick, for giving us the insight and some wisdom. I want to encourage everybody to go out and pick up Copeology. We're going to put the link to how to get this book and other resources right under this video. So go and support that, get the help that you need. And I'm telling you that the principles that are in this book will be a blessing to you, or maybe to some young person, some young adult, or some relative or friend in your life. Thank you again for watching this edition of our Reflections, and we pray that you had a fantastic week.